On our way to Munster, Germany, and this is a local castle that we stopped at, and we'll be taking a tour. This is the front of the castle.
I don't know. The eyebrows. No, I just want to be inherited.
Another section of this castle. This could be the owner.
Yeah. It's a little
Yeah. I got exercise a little more. And I heard from your guys that some of you came to here 70 years ago. No? Yes, 70 years ago. And I know from my mother, because the family of my mother, this estate comes from mother's side to me, not from my father. Father was a forestman, and because I go often into the forest, I didn't know that I have to speak English this morning. I'm not prepared with my clothes, and my mother was living in the second castle. There are two castles which belongs to this estate. The other is 50 kilometers in the east from here, and there my grandparents stood in the war. In the time before, they were every year 2 months there, and when the war started, they thought we will wait what happens with the war, and then they stood all their resting life there. And my mother and the parents went to the other house, and from there they heard what happens here. Well, not so far. And then they told me, the beginning was there from the street, and they come with tanks. It is possible, and people here was in fear and closed the door there, and then they shoot through with a tank, shoot through to open the way, and then the two doors are repaired after. And they are special. Outside is oak to have a strong material outside, picked with nails on iron, and the in half of the door is popular. Popular is poplar is light,
Yes.
and therefore the weight of one wing is lower with a half popular outside oak. But it was not hard enough. Small hill which goes from the east to the west in the north of a little river, Ruhrgebiet, and industrial zone. We are here. Area where coal mines and steel production has a tradition since 200 years or 300 years, and we are the north of it. And the industrial area became his name from the little river Ruhrgebiet. And we are in the north of this. And here a small hill west of and the river north-south. And the river made that it was very wet here, swampy, and there they built the castle into the water as protection against
Invaders.
people 600, 700 years ago. And therefore, because we have no hills here where you could have a castle on it, they built into the water. And therefore, here's the wettest point, the river across here. And this water here is, there you can see it, there's a barrier, stop for the water, and it's hold, because the oldest part of the house has foundation of oak.
Island.
And therefore,
Like Venice.
and therefore water has to stay every time here, otherwise they a way which goes under the two buildings. Here the main building, and there in former time agriculture buildings, and it went under the two buildings through, and you have a long way, 1 kilometer in this direction and 1 kilometer in this direction. And they go through the two buildings. Former times this was a living house, there was a farmhouses, this tower and this wing, which has been there, like the other side, burned down 150 years ago. They make too many fire under the cooking pots for the pigs, and then it burned down. And this true there is new. It's 1 year old, and not every time the foundation is enough, and it went down into the water. But now we have found the water, and therefore the cellar is here in this niveau, and the main floor is you must go up the steps, yes, and here downstairs in the cellar is a restaurant and kitchen for a restaurant, and upstairs hotel rooms to sleep, yes, and in the middle we pass now, there's a museum, and in former times there were the representative rooms. There's a chapel in the tower, and there you see big stones coming out of the wall, and the idea was to build a parallel wing there with a tower, because that was the old fortified castle. Only this wing there. It's 300-400 years older than this. That was the eldest part, this wing there, and 300 years ago, this big wing, the two towers, and the farmer houses were. Please come and do, and please everybody took some of this. How do you call it?
Yes, slippers.
Slippers, because our ladies have cleaned the whole museum for the beginning of the season, and with the slippers you help us to help.
Keith Airborne Medal of Honor recipients, Clinton Hedrick, a guy from West Virginia, was in I Company 194th glider. So 4 days after varsity. So the trip we did was about 45 minutes, 50 minutes, driving slowly. So they did that trip in 4 days to get here. So they didn't have too much resistance. Some villages were liberated, 507th also, 194th. When they came in Lembeck town, the town was heavily fortified by the Germans. They attacked 3 times. Last time they got help from the British even. Couldn't take over the town. What they did was chasing the Germans, and especially the officers who went in the castle. They thought they were safe because of the thick walls. And Clinton Hedrick and his group chased the Germans in, right after, chased them in. And when they went into under the first gate, they went into the castle's perimeter. The Germans wanted to surrender. One of the Germans, hands up, they wanted to surrender. And Clinton Hedrick and his group said, okay, we'll accept that. And at the same moment, some of the Germans fired a rocket-propelled grenade to him and his group. He was mortally wounded, and he was taken back to an aid station where he died. And that's why he was given the Medal of Honor. So that happened here, the 28th of March, so that is in 3 days, 70 years ago. And he's brought back to America, in West Virginia, Riverton. There's on a special highway, there's a special monument for him. There are some people, I have to read it, I've got my glasses somewhere, who take care of his grave there. And so he's not buried in Margrat, he's not buried in Condros, Neuville, or in Chapelle, Henri Chapelle. So he's back in the States. And you can still see some battle damage, but we need to go to the other arch. Would you like to go there? I have seen some battle damage there, which is related to the fightings. And if you read the reports, the shooting went on in the second gate, because this was the first gate, the moat, and then he went on into the castle perimeter, and then the shooting took place there. So if you want, you can walk with me and just watch the battle damage and maybe photograph it as a reminder to Clinton Hedrick, whom you might have seen in pictures. If you go to the if we are in the hospitality room this night, I have some more information about him, so you can read all about it. Clinton Hedrick, one of the 4 Medal of Honor recipients. You might not know that the 17th Airborne had 4. The 101st Airborne had 2, and the 82nd had 3. One in Normandy, one in Nijmegen, and one in the Bulge. And 101st had Joe Mann in Eindhoven and Robert Cole in Normandy. But 4 Medal of Honor recipients, of 3 in Operation Varsity. Clinton Hedrick, Striker. We were at the Striker farm yesterday. George J. Peters, Drops on Whiskey, which we have not visited. And there's another one in the Bulge, Isidore Jakman, Dead Man's Ridge. I think Greg must have told you that. So that's the 4 Medal of Honor recipients. Many people don't know that. It's all about the 101st, then comes the 82nd, and hardly anyone knows 17th Airborne. I was in Currahee, 101st Airborne, Mount Currahee, and I was in the museum with Isaac Epps, and he was looking at this patch. He said, "Is that British?" I'm sorry? Is that British? He thought I wasn't understanding. I said, "No, that's American." Oh, never heard of it. And then there were people there, and when I talked to him alone, he said, "Man, shame to you." And then I explained and blah blah, and he was apologizing, and nobody knows about the 17.
Who was it that said that?